Yeah, totally. Dr. Sung, have you been playing Dead by Daylight lately?
Oh, you betcha. I've been rocking that new killer.
Oh, the Chain Boy?
Chain Boy, yeah. Death Slinger. He's like a undead cowboy.
All
He's a
right,
bit
so
of a bad boy.
tell me about this game. Yeah, I know a little bit, but not much.
Brian, I'm desperate for you to play this game with us
so
because
good.
I'm not a big online multiplayer game person,
Oh,
but it is just
as we've discussed, me neither.
well, I hate it. I hate talking to people. I hate strangers. It stresses me out too bad. But Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical, like multiplayer sort of horror game. Like it's not a horror game. It's just horror themed, I guess. But one person plays as a killer, and you get to choose the killer. They all have different powers. And then the other four play as survivors who are trying to escape from the killer. And you have to fix a certain amount of like generators. It's all very like Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspired because the killer is trying to hook you on a big hook, like a meat hook. And after like 2 hooks, you die. So
wow.
they have a lot of licensed characters. So they have Leatherface and Ghostface, but not the actual Ghostface from the movie because they could only get the rights for the mask. And then they have a lot of original killers too, who are really
Wait,
cool.
hold on. What is there to Ghostface other than the mask and the like cape or the what I'm looking for, robe? What do you call the black shroud? I don't know. Like what are
the shroud? Yeah.
What are the
Sure,
aspects
yeah.
of
Spooky
Ghostface?
shroud.
So there's voice, mask, and shroud. So they could only get mask, and they have him in like a clown costume or something. What's
No. I mean, like I think Fun World or something owns the rights to Ghostface, and so they have the mask and then they have the outfit, and it's fine. It's just the backstory is like not official
I see.
Scream content. It's just like, this is a guy who found the writing is just like abysmal.
and so Sung, you play this game as well?
Yeah, I kind of main as a killer because you can, like Leighton was saying, you can play as a survivor or a killer, and I've been playing a lot of the new guy Death Slinger. Play a lot of Nurse.
Oh my God.
The teleporty Nurse. Ooh, she's real spooky.
Are you good at Nurse? I don't know. I mean, I guess you might be the only person I know who's really good at Nurse.
Dude, I haven't been playing a ton recently, but there was a time last year where I was like rank 2. I guess you could say I was like a pretty good nurse.
Is the highest rank 1?
Yeah, but it's like it's not really like a super accurate. It doesn't mean like I'm like the top percent in the world or anything like that. It just means that you can be a scrub and still get to rank 1 if you play enough.
I totally am not in either of those categories. Big time survivor main because I'm awful at killer. I've had like some good streaks at hag and huntress, but it's so much more stressful to be the killer than it is to be a survivor because it's like
it is, right? There's so much pressure.
Yeah, and it's like but in the like that even if you fuck up and do awful and all 4 of them get out, like they get points and they probably had a lot of fun because it's satisfying to get out, but then they all teabag you at the exit and it makes me really sad, and then they roast you in the chat afterwards, and it's like, come on, man, I'm just trying to have
so much
fun.
salt.
I was just saying, I would think killer would be your jam. Like,
Yes, I know. Conceptually, it is.
Yes.
I do love to play a hot, strong lady who throws hatchets at people. But can I? I mean, you have to have such precision there. And like, I'm only good at hag because she's a pain in the ass to play against because she can draw traps on the ground. And if you step on the trap, you get a jump scare and she can immediately teleport to where you are. So it's like a little cheaty. Yeah. But there's some fun. Michael Myers is also really fun to play against because like you can't. We're just getting deep in Dead by Daylight, whatever. There's a heartbeat, like, terror radius for the killer. So if they're close within a certain range, you get a really loud, like, heartbeat. But for somebody like Ghostface or Michael Myers, it's like the radius on it is really small. So you kind of don't hear them until they're right there. And it leads to some pretty fun, jump scary kind of moments. It's a really fantastic game, like super fun to play with friends on a call.
you two have played together?
We have not.
Oh,
Yeah, amazingly we have not, but I mean we should remedy that, I suppose.
Yeah, I've played with Meowch and the other boys, but Meowch is such a screamer in that game, which is really delightful to me.
Yeah, he's big into those jump scares.
They're great. But yeah, Brian, we'll drag you into it at some point because it's also on Switch, and I kind of like the Switch version better.
I've never tried it. That's interesting.
It's fun because, I mean, the best part for me is that you can sit in a room with the other people and be playing it on the Switch instead of just being on a call. And then you can also sort of see their screen, so you're like, all right, he's over there. I'm going to be over here.
That's awesome. Actually, I started just this past week my first, like literally first ever multiplayer game. And
No way.
it's Stardew Valley. And I've been
Oh,
playing
fuck yeah.
with Hav Hogan and Lord Phobos and tour manager JP. And
That's so great.
I'm going to get into one of my peaches involves this game and Audrey. If you can't guess what that is, I think you can guess what that is. But before that, so we all get on Zoom and farm for a couple hours at night. I've done it twice now, and it's fucking great. When you're playing with friends, it's
Isn't
the
it
best.
so nice? Yeah, it's a lot less grindy when you're playing it with friends. What kind of, do you know which sort of farm you created? Is it like a river farm or a forest farm?
I think
or
it's
just
just
normal?
your standard normal farm. Like, Hav Hogan had to walk me through it a little bit because I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I just showed up on this fucking farm and had no idea what I
Yeah,
was
of course.
doing.
It's like
So
your grandpa's dead. You are a farmer now. You have no choice. Throw
didn't
these
even
fruits
get-
into the bin.
like I didn't even get that much because so when I started the single player mode with Audrey, then you get that. But I just joined Hav Hogan's farm, and it was, then you're just like in the world, and it's like
Yeah,
okay, now you have an axe, have fun.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's only one multiplayer map, and it's like it's like up to 4 players, and each player can get like a corner of the map, and you have your own little jam.
You can pick the other
think that's
maps
what
if
it
you're
is.
playing with
Oh, can you?
multiplayer. But yeah, there is a special multiplayer one that's like all of them.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I started a fishing farm just because I've put like 250 hours in that game, if not more. And I was like, oh, I've never done a river farm before. And God, it's bullshit when your primary source of income is fish. I love the fishing mini game, but like fish costs nothing. Fish economy in Stardew Valley is fucked up.
Yeah, dude, it's good for the first month maybe, but then after that it's just
Yeah.
like
Cranberries are where it's at, man.
yeah.
Oh, and the
Cranberries.
little pop, pop, pop when they come off the vine. Ooh.
So satisfying.
Haven't fished yet. Haven't grown cranberries. I've literally only grown. Let's see. I'm up to 6 parsnips. That's how much I've played this game.
Hell yeah, the parsnips.
Yeah,
That's delightful.
it's really great.
Stardew Valley has like the best sound design. Like everything just gives you a little burst of serotonin. Hi,
Absolutely.
I'm Leighton. I'm talking about serotonin. I'm Leighton from Leighton Night. That's me. And you're going to hear my dog running around in the background, and I am sorry. Her name is Maybe.
And I'm Brian Wecht from Late Night with Brian Wecht, and you may hear my daughter like banging on my garage door as I record this because it's the end of the day, and that is crazy hour, and I don't know if that ever stops. Presumably when she's 18 and moves out, but for right now, it's once 7 o'clock hits, it's clothes off, laws out the door, and it's just anarchy reigns
same.
supreme. And we have a very special guest this week. In a way, it's a continuation of our guest from last week. In a way, although they are distinct people, all rumors aside. Guys, it's Dr. Sung from TWRP.
Oh, hi guys. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited. It's I've never been on TV before, so this is a big deal for me.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, you look amazing.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you
as
so much.
always.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands though. Is it okay if they go here? Or maybe like over here.
Chop them off. No hands.
Chop them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any sort of sharp implement, convenient.
This man's a doctor.
Well, you're a doctor. We have 2 doctors.
Well, I don't like to toot my own horn very much. But yeah, I guess that is true. You're right. But
I don't like being the only one in this digital room who is not a doctor.
You know what? Since we have a majority of doctors, I, using the powers of my doctorate, confer upon you, Leighton Gray, an honorary doctorate.
Wow, Dr. Gray.
Yep.
Somebody should. That's a good name. Somebody should like make a show about somebody whose last name is Gray, who's a doctor.
Leighton, did you get the Grey's Anatomy thing all the time growing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually, my family is like a lot of doctors. I'm weird gay art cousin, so feel very normal about it. Dr. Sung, how are you today? What's been going on with you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I was just hanging out with my dog Rufus, who you might also hear in the background. He's such a good boy. It's a terrible thing to be in isolation, but it's made so much more bearable with a little friend like that. I'm sure you agree.
Oh my God, the dogs love it.
Oh, it's the golden age for being dog.
Yeah, it's excellent time to be a dog. Awful time to be a human.
Great. Actually, it's a great time to be a little kid. Like every little kid, everyone I know who has a little kid, let's say, I don't know, under 8 or so, the kids are just in heaven because all they want is to be attached to their parents all the time. And so, like, Audrey is having literally the time of her life right now. She thinks this is awesome. She gets mom and dad like 24/7. She like misses her friends from kindergarten, but she's having a great time. And, she's aware that stuff's going on, but she thinks it's the best.
And so for parents of young children whose children are home all day,
Oh my God.
how's that going?
It's not easy. I'll tell you that. Rachel and I are in a somewhat fortunate situation in the sense of she didn't have a full-time job when all this shit went down. She was in a fun play, which unfortunately had to close. But she can really take point on most of the schooling and all that sort of stuff. And honestly, my work is kind of exactly the same schedule as it was. We're just chugging away. But, I'm obviously making more time to have lunch with the family and then take time off work to do some bit of schooling with Audrey. But we we don't have 2 full-time working parents and a little kid, and we only have 1 kid. So we're in like a pretty good situation compared to many parents I know who both are working full-time and have multiple kids. And then it's like, if you have more than 1 little kid and 2 working parents, you're kind of in hell right now.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm glad that we are all kind of in a relatively privileged position there. And definitely everybody who is dealing with the other end of that, we're thinking of you.
Yeah, for sure. We've only got 8 to 12 more months of social distancing.
Hooray!
Yeah,
That's the bright side,
Great time for podcasting.
Well, I think that's a good segue actually into what we're going to talk about, which is a continuation of what we talked about last week, which are people's questions about creative process.
There was an interesting through line, and I think something that on social media everybody's kind of talking about of, oh, I'm going to be home. That means that I have time to be creative. And I feel like that is the most suffocating idea right now, where it's like, oh, I have no excuses. I have no excuses right now. I should just be doing it. And then that's like weirdly paralyzing.
Yeah, these are also generally people without children saying this. I will point out. Yeah. But it's a lot of pressure. It's like, to see all these people who are like, all right, now I'm going to write that screenplay. Like, give yourself a break. Shit's hard right now. You don't need to do anything creative if you don't really feel like it. But also, like, it's, just kind of create. If you're a creative normally, kind of try to stick to your normal schedule. You don't need to like go into overdrive just because you're stuck at home.
Yeah. This is a global pandemic, not a manic episode, as much as I wish it was. But yeah, it's like I've been angry at myself for not being max productivity or max creativity. And it's like, bro, why the fuck did you think that during a global pandemic you would somehow have like better mental health than usual?
Yeah, totally. Sung, what is your, we talked to Meowsh about this a little bit, but can you describe your personal / TWRP's creative process? Like, what do you guys, how do you do it?
Well, we are pretty fortunate in the sense that we all kind of contribute in our own way, and we can do that remotely because we compose in the cloud, so to speak. We have our Ableton. Ableton is like a digital audio workstation, and that's where we sort of collaboratively write our music and record our parts, so we can just pull it out of the cloud and then see what everyone else has been working on. And it's been kind of a weird time for us the timing of this pandemic, because we were going to be going into a studio this week. But
Right.
of course, studios
Right.
are non-essential and are closed. So
Yeah.
we're kind of like everyone else in the world, trying to just find the way to stay productive amidst this crazy episode.
So can you guys not record from home in the way you'd want to in a studio?
Well, we can. A lot of things we can record from home. Being TWRP being like a synth rock band, synths are easy to record from home.
Right.
Anything that you don't need a big physical space to record in. So in particular, drums are. We can't record drums basically
Yeah.
because you can't record drums and make them sound good inside a bedroom.
Yeah.
Not in the same way that you can do like guitars and keys and stuff like that. So that's kind of our challenge right now, and we're rolling with it. We're finding ways to deal with it. But
Have you thought about doing all drum machine for this album?
well, no, we thought about doing all a cappella actually. Finally, Have and Phobos will break their vow of silence, and you'll get to hear all of our angelic voices in chorus. But
Full on beatboxing.
I don't think it's gonna stick
and
though.
cats?
I don't know. The world's not ready for it yet. Yeah, boots and cats.
No, that's once that door is opened, you can never close it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Scatman's song. He couldn't close that door.
That's true.
Not that he would ever want to.
Is the vocoder getting a lot of action right now?
You tell me, baby.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
More than I could have ever hoped for. Holy shit, can you do the rest of the episode?
Oh yeah, you bet I can. Oh yeah.
It's always on. It's right there. It's right next to me pretty much at all times. So
This is fucking awesome.
This really, this is my peach now. This is
All
all
right.
three of my peaches.
We actually haven't done some like original music for a new episode in a bit. So Sung, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Just do some talk box thing, and I will put something underneath it. Give me a good, like, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds of whatever the fuck you want to do, and I will put something underneath it when this episode comes out.
all right, I can do that. You want to do that right now?
Yeah, just go for it.
I'm gonna have to tune this up because this is an analog synthesizer, so it's gonna sound awful. But you can just EQ that out.
Yeah, it's easy. I'll fix it.
Isn't that beautiful? There you
I
have it.
love
That's my piece for you.
Late tonight with Brian and Leighton, oh yeah. Late tonight with Brian and no Dr. Sun. It's late tonight with Brian and Leighton, oh yeah.
There you go. A little something.
Fuck yes.
Fuck
That's
our current
awesome.
theme song.
Yeah, seriously.
Hopefully you can chop some of that up and use it.
That was beautiful.
Absolutely. That was the best.
So I'm so fascinated by vocoder talkbox stuff, and I know nothing about how they actually work.
Well, first, can you explain to people the difference between a vocoder and a talkbox? Because I think a lot of people use them interchangeably, but they're quite different.
Yes, I thought they were the same thing.
I would love to do that. Yeah, that's the thing, because I mean, I kind of call myself a synth vocalist because I do talkbox and vocoder, so the differentiation between them is important to me. So I'm going to make it known to you guys as well out there. So the talkbox is actually super crude. It sounds like futuristic, right?
It sounds like a robot.
But it's really just so crude because what it is it's a little tiny speaker, like a little guitar speaker in like a pedal, and you plug an instrument that can be like a synthesizer like I'm using, and you plug the instrument into that pedal, which is the speaker, and then the speaker shoots the sound through a tube into your mouth. And then so the sound of the synthesizer is now inside your mouth, and the notes that you're playing are inside your mouth, and you form the words that you want to say. So really, it's like so crude because there's the tubes involved and there's just like sound getting shot into your orifices. It's a mess. But it sounds pretty cool if you ask me. A vocoder is actually
I'm
a
tempted
lot
to
more-
say, and I might cut this out, you're getting face fucked by sound. Is that accurate?
You know what? I think that that's quite an accurate description of it. Really.
Okay, great. I'm
So,
definitely going to cut
I
that
think-
out.
Really?
Getting face frigged by sound. There you got the family friendly. So I guess the vocoder. I guess that's where we were at. The vocoder is a lot more. There's a lot more tech, I guess you could say, involved there, where you're speaking into a microphone, and the microphone is getting the sound from the microphone is getting processed inside the vocoder, and then you can use it with like a keyboard so that it's pitched, so you get this processed kind of crazy, it's pretty lo-fi sounding like voice emulation. It's very cool. It's distinctly different from TalkBox. TalkBox is usually a lot more intelligible. Like it's easier to hear what you're saying, I guess. But Vocoder certainly has its own vibe and its own application.
So am I correct that one main difference is with the vocoder, so you speak into the microphone and the machine, the vocoder, outputs the signal, and that's what people hear. With the talk box, you are just kind of into a normal microphone, and it's the signal's kind of coming into your mouth and then getting shaped by your mouth, and just the thing through a normal microphone is what people hear. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. The TalkBox sound is coming into your mouth, but with the vocoder, sound is going out of your mouth.
Yep.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Cool.
Wow. That's really interesting. Could you call out like a song or like album that has vocoder as opposed to, because I'm assuming that if we want to hear some TalkBox stuff, we just listen to some TWRP.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, I mean, it's not used as like a main vocal all that often, but like In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, you can hear it in there. Yeah, because it's usually used as like it's part of a palette of sound. It's not typically, like I said, it's not typically like the lead vocal, but
Sure,
it
yeah.
is. Yeah, it is in there.
That's lovely. I did not expect to learn that today, and that's really interesting. And you did a great job of actually explaining the differences, because I'm stupid and normally can't follow that kind of stuff.
Well,
You are
it is my honor
late.
as a tubesman.
Leighton, you are not stupid. I want to
Oh,
be
fuck.
very clear about
We
this.
literally last episode started the creative process thing with me self-deprecating, and now I'm doing it again right before we get into the creative process questions that are literally us saying, like, don't do that. It's a
It's all
difficult
good.
habit to break out of.
We're all humans.
It's true. As Jory would say, we're all dirty Humes.
Yeah, let's do some questions.
I have one that I'd like to start with because it's a nice ease in.
Let's do
This
it.
comes from Gage. A question for everyone. Do you have any specific songs or albums that help get the creative juices flowing?
Ooh.
For me, it's very dependent on what I want to write. But let's see. In general, honestly, a big one for me is just yacht rock Spotify playlist. Just
Hell
I
yeah.
put it on, get a vibe, and it's off to the races.
Totally. For myself, I think a lot of the time, as a musician, you hear a lot of music and you're around music a lot, and I feel like just going back to the songs that bring you the most amount of joy, like from all of your life, really just give me the energy to be creative. And for me, those would be probably like "Love Come Down" by Evelyn Champagne King.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Like
Yep.
I can't not feel so good when I'm listening to that song, and it makes me want to like make that feeling for others too, and gives me like, you know, that creative juice.
That makes a lot of sense considering I've only seen you guys perform live once, and like just I was so struck, and it's the thing that everybody says about y'all of like you have such incredible like stage energy, and you keep it up the entire time, and it's so like positive and happy, and like hearing you say that it's stuff that like really brings you joy before you get into the process makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's. Thank you for saying that. That's lovely.
I had so much fun at y'all's show.
The Love Come Down is the one that our sound guy, Matt Otley, uses to test the room. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
Yeah. So before every NSP show, when, so a sound guy, typically what they'll do is they'll play some song that they know very well in the space just to kind of get a sense of it and see what they need to do. And that is at every NSP show when Matt Otley, our wonderful sound guy who is setting up and making sure everything is to his exacting specifications. That is the song he plays to get a sense of the room. So I think I've heard that song about 1,000 times now.
To 1,000 more.
Indeed.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Leighton? What's your answer?
I think for me, because I've just been doing things in a very particular, I guess, dark tone lately, which is a big 180 from Dream Daddy, which actually, I'll go on record saying Dream Daddy was the 180 for me. That was the one out of left field. And then people expect that to be what the rest of my shit's like. And it's like, oh, buddy, no, it's not. But I like some moody, weird stuff. One of my favorites is The Caretaker. Have y'all listened to The Caretaker?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's the album that I recommend everybody to check out is an Empty Bliss Beyond This World, or is it Endless? I forget. But basically the whole idea behind The Caretaker is it's all meant to sound like the music from the end of The Shining, hence The Caretaker. So it's a lot of like sampled from that era of music and like very degraded, and because there's like 3 parts to The Caretaker stuff because it's like a side project of another musician. And they're all about like Alzheimer's, so it's very similar to what's the is it William Basinski, the one where it's like the thing deteriorating?
Yeah, that's right.
That I can't listen to because it's so fucking slow.
Yeah.
Is that Water Music?
I forget which one.
Okay, whatever. The one like that, but Caretaker is very much about like the stages of Alzheimer's. And so it like very slowly goes through it. The track names are kind of about that. And it's just, there's this concept that was coined by, I believe, Mark Fisher, who was a wonderful writer, rest in peace, hauntology. That's HAUNT-ology. And it's sort of this idea that things like vaporwave and certain other types of music and media hit where it's like this nostalgia for aborted futures, like futures that never happened. So, vaporwave is very about that. Like, what if this 80s like mall aesthetic continued on and we didn't evolve past that? And it's a really interesting concept, but I think The Caretaker embodies that really well because it is like a sort of modernized but also degraded version of like very old music. It's perfect background music and I love it to death. And I've listened to those albums so many times and they just don't get old for me. And they create a very specific mood and they make me want to watch The Shining. So it's great.
Cool.
Very cool. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely
check it out.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to pick a question here. And this one is it's pretty NSP TWRP specific, but it's one that I haven't ever really talked about. So I want to just read it here. All right. So here's the question. This is from Kyle, him. I'm not a composer, but I arrange music for brass quintet and tuba/euphonium ensemble. My process generally involves writing motivic and orchestrational ideas on staff paper and then inputting it into my notation software. What is your process for writing your music for NSP/Starbomb and TWRP? Do you use staff paper at all, or do you have another method? Thanks. Okay. Sung, do you want to take this one? I know you write a lot of the TWRP music. Do you want to discuss what your process is on that? Are you ever writing out sheet music?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, usually how it goes down is usually one of us will start with like a skeleton of a song, which would be like a groove or maybe like an A and a B section, that kind of thing, like something like a progression, basically. And when we do get down to actually writing it all together and like fleshing out the song, often we will, because we go on like writing retreats once a year or so. When we're on these writing retreats, often we will just like, with staff paper, write out like like a shitty chart, just like a dumbed down thing so that everybody can be on the same page and just get the broad strokes of it. We definitely don't go into Sibelius and input every note painstakingly like Kyle, but we do a little bit of it.
Yeah, personally, so I agree. Like when I was in college as a music major, a composition major, I did everything on staff paper. I mean, I was in the Finale is the program I used at the time, and just wrote everything. Sometimes I would write usually at the piano and then notate everything, and that's because everything was designed to be played by other human beings, and in a relatively precise way. I mean, when you're studying. When you take a composition class, you got to write shit out. Like that's, half the battle is putting it down on paper to be played by someone else. But now for NSP and Starbomb, I almost never write anything else, write anything out on staff paper. It's just like sometimes, very occasionally sung for TWRP, I'll give you guys a lead sheet or something, but pretty rarely. The only stuff I typically do on staff paper now is... If we're doing horn arrangements, I do all the horn arrangements myself for NSP, and that I will write out and then hand to the horn players. But there's just no. We hear a lot from people like, "Hey, will you guys ever put out sheet music?" It's just so there's so much shitty sheet music out there. Where like the tabs are the wrong chords and, it sounds nothing like the actual song. I mean, it's hard, to arrange a song for like a rock band for piano and have it sound halfway decent. If we were going to put out proper sheet music for NSP, that would take a long time. And it's time that I personally don't have like right now. So, and given...
I imagine would want to expend elsewhere.
Yeah, totally. Like, I don't know how many... people would even be interested. Probably, a small handful of people would actually buy NSP sheet music. But it's, it's not the kind of thing, like to be perfectly frank about it, like we're not going to make any money off of it. And to expend the amount of time, I mean, this would be like probably months to really get it right and do it well. It just doesn't seem worth it. Like I could be writing new original music in that time rather than... putting the old stuff on sheet music. That being said, if someone came to me and is like, hey, like I want to arrange all the NSP stuff or some NSP stuff, whatever, for sheet music, and then you can just kind of look at it and make sure it works, that I would be totally down for. I just don't have the time or energy or motivation to do it myself. But right now, like in terms of writing, never on staff paper. It's all just, it's mostly on MIDI, I use Logic, and I just put stuff down and then, kind of develop it from there. Yeah. So that's my process right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a word in that question. What is motivic? I don't know what that means.
Oh, like a motif, like an idea for a theme or a motif, or I think that's motif. Is like a melody line or a bass line or something like that. So orchestrational is how to arrange it in terms of what instruments are playing it, but motivic is like the actual kind of meat of the
seed
music.
Of the idea.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd never heard that word before.
Yeah, it's
learning so much today.
Sometimes you hear it in the context of leitmotif, which is a famous thing. Basically, in Wagnerian opera, every character or object or whatever has a certain theme associated with them. Not unlike a lot of movies, like in Star Wars, there's Leia's theme and there's Luke and that sort of thing. So Wagner was famous for having these things he called leitmotifs, which were themes that would appear whenever certain characters showed up in the opera. There's actually this amazing book. I'll probably getting the German wrong slightly, but it's like Das Buch der Motiv, which is a list of all of the leitmotifs from the Ring cycle. And it's really cool. So you can look through and you can see, here's Siegfried's thing, and here's, the Rings thing. And characters have multiple rings. Yeah, multiple themes, I mean.
You can also just go on TV tropes, and then there's just like an encyclopedia of that from literally everything. I remember reading a lot of that in middle school. I honestly, okay, I use TV tropes all the time. I knock it because it's like the dorkiest thing in the world, and there's a very specific vibe to the way that people write on there. Lots of italics and
Oh,
like
yeah.
really over dramatizing stuff that doesn't need to be.
It's pretty annoying.
but
That's
God,
definitely true.
that voice is the worst, and it totally, maybe it's partially because it informed a lot of the way I wrote in like middle school and stuff, and that is a nightmare. But it is such I pull it up very frequently and like use it for work.
It's
I mean,
really
it's just like
useful.
it's so useful. I mean, if you want to find stuff that's you're like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this idea. What else has done this? And just kind of like going down the line. And then also you find a lot of new stuff that you probably never would have watched or listened to or checked out just because it's like, oh, this is interesting.
I also find it useful as just a framing device. It's like, the moment you put into words the idea of this idea or trope or thing, you're like, oh, that is a thing. And just knowing that there's kind of a term for it, sometimes it's empowering. I mean, sometimes it can be limiting, but when you're thinking of what could happen, it's sometimes useful to have a little dictionary in your head of like, oh, I could do this or this or this or this or this. And you just kind of run down the list and see if you like any of those options.
Yeah, and then there's totally like, I think a lot of those terms have fully entered my lexicon of, lamp shading and fridge logic and all that stuff. But yeah, useful tool.
What's the one that it's like combining a bunch of individually awesome things into something that sucks? It's like vampire, shark, robot, zombie, or something like that.
as we like to call just two things.
What was it? Well, I have to look this up now. Hold on.
Wait, are you describing NSP songs though?
Well, that's the thing. Believe me, I am the most guilty. Ninja Pirate Zombie Robot. That's what it's called.
Yep.
Wow.
And yes, I am absolutely describing NSP songs. In fact, many of our song ideas, if not the entire band name, comes from, hey, let's just list like a couple cool things.
We got dinosaurs, we got lasers, and we got fights.
Yes.
Dude, recipe
You're
for
not
success.
exaggerating. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really, when I discovered that Dream Daddy has a TV tropes page, that was like the true, I'm fully, I mean, everything I see that other people have put out about Dream Daddy, like just makes me wildly dissociate. But like the TV tropes was the big one of like,
That's great.
what the fuck? I spent years and years and years just inhaling hundreds of tabs of TV tropes. So very, very strange to be like, oh yeah, that's something that we did. Hey, do you like horror movies? Are you stuck at home right now just waiting to get funny games or perhaps The Strangers? Well, have we got the thing for you. In honor of our upcoming horror history series Deep Cuts, hosted by yours truly, we've partnered with Shudder to bring y'all a special offer. Late Night listeners, that means you, can get an extended 14-day free trial for Shudder and access to their full library of amazing horror movies. All you have to do is go to shudder.com/signup, that's SHUDDER, and enter promo code DEEPCUTS. For people who don't listen to Late Night and are thus not cool, they only get 7 days. Late Night listeners get 14. That's 2 weeks of horror content. And if that's not a peach, I don't know what is. So now that you have no excuse, I am simply demanding that you watch some great horror movies, such as Audition, Ginger Snaps, In the Mouth of Madness, Tetsuo the Iron Man, The Taking of Deborah Logan, The Love Witch, Knife and Heart, Revenge, literally all of the Friday the 13th movies, Dogtooth, Noroi the Curse, The Exorcist 3, A Tale of Two Sisters, and so many more that I couldn't possibly list them all, but they're very good. So scoot on over there with promo code DEEPCUTS, and let's get spooky. Or else.
Layden, do you want to pick another question here?
Let's see. This question is from Kira. I was curious how you handle or store works in progress and quote-unquote dead projects, like sketchbooks, notes, or projects you devote a lot of time to but never fully carry out. One part of me wants to hoard every scrap, sketch, and prompt just in case I can revisit it with a different perspective or use it in a future project. It's also nice to see if I've made any artistic progress over time. Another part of me wants to permanently get rid of pieces I don't have a use for anymore so I don't have files of junk or proof of my failures and rage quits. This is a really good question.
That's a great question, yeah. I will say for me, because most of what I work on is digital, as it is for many people these days, I never throw anything out. Like for music, it's all in there somewhere. I'm not going to permanently delete a file. And I have very frequently like gone back to files from now we have, 11 years of NSP ideas as well as other stuff. I'll just go back and start listening to old shit and see if I like any of it that I didn't like or didn't finish for whatever reason once upon a time. This is a lot harder in physics where I'm actually like, then I just have these folders of like math that I would do. And then at some point you're like, well, that never went anywhere. But picking it up after, like it's easy to pick up a song, but it's very hard to look at something you calculated 6 years ago and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like a lot of times it's like this classic thing with science is you write the paper and you move on to the next thing. And I certainly look at papers that I wrote and I'm like, what was I doing? I just don't understand this at all anymore. It happens to almost every scientist that these papers from even a couple years old, you're just like, I don't understand this anymore. And you can relearn it pretty quick. But there for physics, I would just store, I actually would occasionally throw out old notebooks if it was like, well, I have to move again and this math isn't going to get any more mathy. So let's just dump it in a garbage disposal somewhere.
I had never really considered that from the perspective of like science stuff. Dr. Sung, what's your take on this?
I'm a very similar situation to Brian because everything that I create musically is digital. I never delete anything, and every once in a while I'll go back to an old project or something, or sometimes even when TWRP is like when we're perusing all of our ideas and we're trying to narrow down songs to like put into an album. Sometimes like something that I think is a piece of shit from like 6 months ago, I'll like bring it up for shits and giggles, and then the other guys might like it, and like that happens to all of us in the band. So like a lot of the time having a fresh set of ears, at least in music, can go a long way in seeing or hearing what is good about something.
Yeah, or even distance from your own stuff
Yeah.
and being like, oh, I was really down on this at the moment, but this is actually
Totally.
kind of dope. And now that I have better skills, I can actually execute this in the way that I wanted to at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a writing and like game development perspective, never throw anything away. Keep your sketchbooks, keep your old writing projects. Like I really can't emphasize enough how much of like the work that I do now is like, okay, there were these characters that I drew a couple of times and thought were interesting years ago and never did anything with. They actually work really great for the, like you sort of have the groundwork and like pieces that you can kind of collage together to make the new thing. I will say that like for Dream Daddy, a lot of those designs or character quirks or whatever were just sort of like an amalgam of all these years of things that I'd kind of picked and kind of synthesized into a new thing. Like I think that stuff is really important, not only to track your progress, but it makes you a better artist. And if you have the space to hold on to that kind of stuff, fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
I find it really interesting, especially working in a band with another person. Actually, I mean, in terms of writing, it's two other people. It's me and Dan and producer Jim Roach. Like there's a bit of fuck you energy that comes from presenting an idea that the other guys don't like, and it's like, well, if you don't like it, I'm going to do something awesome with it myself. Like, you'll see how stupid you are for rejecting this amazing song. I found that I've repurposed a lot of ideas I really like into that the other guys didn't into stuff that I like for myself or just other projects. I agree. Never throw anything away. Obviously, if it's taking up physical space, you need the space, get rid of it. But if it's files, I don't see any downside to keeping it in some format you can access later.
Yeah, and if you have a big like stack of sketchbooks or notebooks, if you're going to get rid of them, please just like digitize them first, because having old sketchbooks is really important, and especially like getting those tools to figure out how to iterate on those. Like you find so much good stuff, and also like I don't know if this, I'm sure this is most visual artists, but like there's such visceral snapshots in time of your life. Like it is truly like a diary, like a visual diary, regardless of whether you mean it to be or not. It is totally just like a little time capsule of a moment in your life, and I think that's really valuable to hold on to.
Yeah, totally.
Also, the best art is motivated by either spite or horniness. I will die on this hill.
Oh, okay. What I thought you said was the best art is motivated by spider horniness. And I was like, what the fuck? I love the idea of spider horniness. That is,
I don't like that.
I feel like
I don't like that one bit.
it's like
8 times freakier. Or 4
it's like a
times
Louise
freakier?
Bourgeois sculpture or something, right? It's like, yeah.
It's just there's this I have this like I don't think I've ever been able to find it since, and I guess my mental leap here was spider horniness leads to awful bundles of baby spiders.
Yeah. hell yeah, it does.
I conceptually fuck with spiders. I like vibe with them, not in the horny whatever. But
Nobody's
because it's like they're
judging you,
cool,
no?
they're useful. They look sick, but in practice, I see them and I am upset, and I will take them outside. I will escort them out. But there's this video that I found forever ago that I got into this hole because like you can watch bug fights on YouTube, which are awful but very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like lifestyle people who raise spiders and stuff. And there was this one video that I found. It was a dude with a tarantula who was like a mommy tarantula. And he was really, it was almost like an unboxing video. But
I like that you
spider
said
eggs.
mommy tarantula. That's pretty great.
Of course, yeah.
Daddy likes that.
Mommy tarantula.
Yeah, Daddy likes mommy tarantulas.
So it was like an unboxing video for a spider egg sack, and the dude was like so palpably excited, like he's clearly filming with one hand and he's other hand on the spider stuff.
Oh my god.
Keep accidentally saying like whatever. So he's so excited. He kind of pulls open the spider egg sack a little bit, and he's just so stoked. And he opens it up, and all the baby spiders are dead. And I don't think I've ever heard like a more like grief-stricken man. Like he's so upset, and the video keeps going, and he's like,
Oh my god.
I was so excited. I can't. None of them are alive.
Oh god.
It was really fucked up. I'm thinking of that dude. I hope you're okay, and I hope you have lots of spider babies.
Sung, I think you or one of the other twerp guys introduced me to bug fights on YouTube. I think it was one of you.
Oh yeah, that was well. We don't feel great about it now, but it's good to know that it exists in the world.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch before you think about it too much.
I used to do a thing on YouTube, and I've done this for a while, where I would come up with the name of an insect and then the name of a mammal, and search insect eats mammal and see if there were any videos of it. And obviously, for most insects, the answer is no. But there are some. All right, look up bat eating millipede.
Holy shit!
Which is a millipede that eats bats. There's
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh
I think
no!
I've seen that actually.
the fucker's like
What
2
the
feet
fuck?
long. Yeah.
Oh god, that is the stuff.
No,
of
no, no, no,
nightmares.
no! I see a bat rib cage out. I do not want.
Oh, sorry.
that.
That's what a giant bat eating centipede. It's not a millipede. It's a centipede. Yep, there it is. Yep, this is the one. It's the first video that comes up for giant bat eating centipede. And
no,
the
I'm watching it.
centipede. Yeah, so the centipede crawls. This is a huge, pale, like horror film looking centipede. It's probably about a foot and a half long. It crawls up to the top of the cave and hangs down until a bat flies into it, and then it grabs the bat and like dumps some venom into it, and then eats the shit out of it, and it rules.
This is fucking awful. I hate this.
is
Guys, don't Google this.
insane.
It's my favorite
God.
video.
No!
No!
Get out of there! No!
There's some really. Are you watching it, Layden?
Yeah.
Did it get the bat yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It turns out centipedes eat a lot of amazing things. There's a really good one of a centipede eating a mouse, which is definitely.
We might disagree on the definition of really good.
But by really good, I mean objectively great. So I don't think we disagree on that, honestly. But it's a very upsetting video of a centipede just like digging into a mouse, and it's
Munching.
Oh, it's so great. Centipedes, like these big centipedes that live in, I think the bat eating one is from South America somewhere. Although I realize South America is pretty big, so I don't know. Maybe it's in the Amazon. I don't remember. But these big South American centipedes will eat the shit out of mammals, and it's awesome.
Fuck.
What bugs freak y'all out the most?
I don't get freaked out by bugs. I love bugs.
I have an answer for this. Okay, they're underneath my garbage can. About maybe 8 months ago, I guess it was in the summer. There was this like silver tube of like it was like a snake, but also a worm, and also
What?
had like no face, but it had like one eye, or like it was disgusting, and it just like.
I mean, dude,
around.
you're straight up talking about a dick right now.
Was that you, Brian?
Trash can dick.
Son of
Guilty.
a gun.
Yeah.
Oh man, I honestly I can't describe it any better than that. It was like silver and shiny, and it like didn't slither like a snake. It just kind of flopped around. It was awful.
Was it a slug?
It wasn't a slug. It was like, I think somebody said it was like a blind, like called like a blind worm or like a blind snake, something like that.
Oh my god, I have to look this up right now.
They're like, oh man, they're so gross.
Wait, are you just tricking us into looking up dick pics? Blind snake.
Blind one-eyed worm. Oh god.
Did you find it?
No. I'm looking up blind snake now.
Blind, what is it? Blind.
These look cute. I don't know. I
this
guess I
doesn't
would be
look
freaked out by
horrifying.
seeing one.
Slow worm, I think.
Slow worm, that's what it is?
I think it's called. No. Wait, what? That can't be right. It says in Europe.
See,
No, no,
we
that's
tout
not
this
it.
show as like a talk show for the terminally online, but we truly don't really do that beyond having online people. But now this is like y'all are just gonna hear frantic typing and then us going, no, 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 no.
I'm typing huge worm Los Angeles. The first
Craigslist
actually,
personals, huge worm, Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. I think I found it. Thread snake.
I will say, before we look at that, the first hit on Google when I search for huge worm Los Angeles is an LA Times article where from 2019, actually just from December 2019, where the title is "Thousands of quote penis fish unquote wash up on Northern California beach."
Ryan, articles that you wrote don't count. Okay.
Look, it's a vanity podcast. All right, so what was it?
Thread
son?
snake.
Thread.
Thread snake.
Thread snake. Yeah, Brahminy blind snake or the thread snake. And
It's cute.
oh, but it's the way that it moved was what was most startling, because it looked like it was like dying or in pain, but because it was just on cement underneath my garbage can, just like flopping around, and I was like, what do I do with it?
That's
Ooh.
very cool.
I guess there are a lot of things that are more fucked up in motion. I guess I'm like not a big. I loved the aesthetics of an insect, but they upset me. I will say though, there are two types of insects that I find very fascinating and love very much. Are y'all familiar? Do you have these in either Jersey or Canada? Ant lions.
Oh yeah, ant lions are all
Like
over
from
Jersey.
Half-Life 2? Dude, we get those like crazy in Canada.
Yeah, just everywhere.
Yeah, we would
but
drop ants into their little funnels and watch them go
Totally,
crazy.
yeah,
right?
yeah. I would take like a pine needle and then like trace around the edge of it. For those unfamiliar, an antlion is like you'll see little cone indentations in the ground, and at the very bottom of the cone there's an antlion. And when it feels like an ant or another bug crawling around on the outside, they start spitting up sand from the center, so it'll knock down and fall further in, and then they eat it.
It's the best.
And like that, hours of entertainment right there.
Dr. Sung, do you legitimately don't know about these?
I didn't know that that's how they hunted or ate. That's pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Clever.
They're also fucked up looking.
Yeah, they're pretty messed up.
There's actually a really great movie. Have you watched Woman in the Dunes?
No.
It's a Japanese new wave 60s black and white deal that I highly recommend, but it's like the most it's not obviously explicitly about antlions, but it's basically dude gets stuck in a huge sand pit that's shaped like an antlion thing with this lady who's like, no, you're staying with me, you're not leaving, you're my husband now. A really, really fantastic movie. It's like one of the most like physical, like you just feel the sand, everything is covered in sand, and it's awful.
I love it. What's the other insect?
Cordyceps fungi. That's cordyceps. I guess it's not a specific creature, but it's the fungus that like grows out of bugs.
Oh, that thing. Yes, I'm looking at this. This rules.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
Isn't that so metal? But
That's
yeah, it's
so
like a
metal.
mind control
Yes, that
fungus.
one.
Like
It's
that's
one of these,
so
yes,
cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, the visuals, like, they're amazing. I mean, that is a horrifying thought of this thing has taken over your body. You're just like, it's fucking up your brain, and now it's growing out of your body and you're dead.
Yeah.
That's some Cronenberg shit.
I mean, that's basically being pregnant.
Pregnancy is the ultimate body horror.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
just watched Swallow, which was fine.
I have not seen it, which is probably not a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to go on my screed about it, but it's like pregnant lady develops pica and starts eating thumbtacks and shit.
Oh.
Gotcha. Fun.
It's pretty. It's like a Pinterest. It's a Pinterest board of a movie. It's fine.
Let's do one more question.
Okay. So, how do you approach/know which parts to keep the same and which to change when playing covers? For original music, how do you decide when to match the drums versus guitar versus do your own thing? And lastly, who are some great people to listen to help me get out of my melody-centric thinking and more into a rhythm section mindset, especially any underrated or lesser-known musicians? From Justin, he/him.
Cool. So I guess, I mean, I can talk about the cover stuff. Song, you, of course, are an integral part of the NSP covers experience. This is something with Ninja Sex Party in particular. Dan and I have very different attitudes towards. My attitude is completely fuck it up and make it almost unrecognizable. And Dan's is much more like, let's keep it pretty straight ahead. We tend to keep them pretty straight ahead for a variety of reasons. They honestly, very few people love completely fucked up covers, and I don't think those albums would be very popular if the songs were just like completely deconstructed versions. For me, it's just like a fun intellectual exercise to do it. Mm. But what parts to keep the same and what to change? I mean, obviously, like generally melody and chords are going to stay pretty much the same. Everything else, as far as I'm concerned, is up in the air unless there's a particularly iconic line. So, like we covered "Rock with You" by Michael Jackson, and there's like a, do 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 kind of synth line that comes in there. Or there's I'm talking about the synth solo, do 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 do, or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. I got the notes a little wrong there. But if there's really iconic stuff, we want to keep it, especially if it's a solo. Everything else is up in the air. What about, so TWRP does covers like pretty regularly. I know you guys typically do like one per show. What do you guys do when you're doing your own covers?
All right, so here's the real trick for TWRP. Are you guys ready? For covers, we listen to the live version of that song. So if it's a recorded version of a song, we go to the artist and we look them up in like when they're at their peak. And we check out what they did for it live, because almost always musicians will spice things up or do something different when they do it live.
Totally.
So like when you check out the live version and you're like, oh shit, we could like do something like that. Like it gives it sort of a fresh, a bit of freshness when you actually record it that way. And also, like you said, Brian, like you got to keep like the hook's got to be the same, but you can also have fun with chords and reharmonizing some stuff, but it's a lot of, like you said, a lot of people don't want to hear a fucked up version of a song that they love.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like with the NSP cover albums, a lot of people, we hear from the younger fans, like sometimes they've never even heard those songs before. And part of the fun is doing them in a way that's our style, but also recognizably the original. So just to give some specific examples from NSP stuff, one thing I was really excited about, we did a cover of Jump by Van Halen, which is, I think, arguably not one of our best covers, but I arranged the synth solo there in 3-part harmony, which I was really happy about because I thought that was a fun
That's fun.
exercise. On that first, that was on the, I think that was the first cover album. Also on that album, we did the Burning Down, where I changed the part of it, put in 5 rather than, I think most of that song is actually in 6, but cut off a beat because I thought it'd be fun. I remember with Heat of the Moment, like, we listened to the original and the tempo was just like all over the map. It was like the drummer was. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was so weird. It was like he was drunk or something.
Yes, it was like
drunk. It was unbelievable.
It was like that. Everyone in that supergroup might have been on drugs, and the tempo was just crazy. So I remember you guys for that one song. You guys, did you take the lead on that arrangement? I think you did, right?
I think we did. I think we kind of had to, just because we had to put it on a grid to make it like coverable, to like make it a single tempo. So it was like a really weird thing to sort of jig things around.
Yeah, totally. And that's another thing with NSP and covers, actually, is the process was really different from the first to the third album. In the first album, Dan and I did the first 2 tracks kind of ourselves, and then several of those we just sent to TWRP and was like, have fun. And then would give feedback based on that, although pretty much everything you guys did, we were like, yep, that's amazing. By the time the third cover album was happening, that was something where we had a producer, Jim Roach, and Jim and I sat down and mapped out all the arrangements and then got into the studio with TWRP and pretty much used those arrangements to record to. So, and that's a very different process. Let's there was this last part of the question here. Who are some great people to help me get out of my melody-centric thinking and into more of a rhythm section mindset? Sung, I feel like you might have some good advice on this one.
Ooh, you know what? Somebody who is hella advanced rhythm styles, I would say listen to like Vince Guaraldi, man. He is
That's true. Yeah,
he
totally.
is a total wacko. He is just insanely good, and it's like he was like kind of a pioneer in like incorporating like samba and bossa into like other things. And it's definitely not super duper melodic because it's so busy with the rhythms and the harmony and whatnot.
Yeah, I had a jazz teacher that used to say drummers make the best arrangers. And, because they're at least drummers that know melody and harmony and stuff like that, of which, Sung, you are one. So you are a drummer who also deeply understands, music theory. But there's all sorts of, I would say listen to good drummers. And there's a million of them. I've actually been listening to a lot recently, the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra. Really great big band stuff from the 60s and 70s. I think mostly arranged by Thad Jones, but I could be wrong about that. And I love Mel Lewis's playing. He's the drummer, and it's just it's great stuff. But almost any good drummer, if you really clue into what the drums are doing, that's gonna, drums don't have melody, so that's gonna help you get out of that mindset quite a bit.
Ooh, yes. Oh, on that note, Brian, you got the gears turning. Dave Brubeck, he is a drummer.
Oh, yeah.
And a band leader, and I'm pretty sure he wrote or at least arranged all of his band's songs, and like you guys probably know the song Take 5.
Yep.
It's most recognizable, but yeah, definitely good for that.
Yeah, who was was it Tom Morello who was his drummer, is that right? Who was the big drummer with Brubeck?
Tom Morello, he was the he plays in Rage Against the Machine, dude.
No, Joe Morello. It was okay.
Joe Morello.
I knew it was
there
a
you
Morello.
Go. Yeah,
Joe Morello. Yeah, thank you.
But man, that's a crossover waiting to happen right there. Dave Brubeck
Right.
and Tom Morello.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What would the okay? Hold on. What would the name of the Dave Brubeck Rage Against the Machine crossover album be?
Jazz on Parade. Jazz on Parade.
I love that. Killing in Outer Space. I don't know. Anyway,
Dave Against the Machine.
Dave against the machine. We have a winner, folks.
That's it. Boom.
Dude, there's got to be a cover band out there called Dave Against the Machine.
But it's one guy.
It's just one guy.
All right, next question. Hey, y'all, call me Rose, she, her. Okay, so I've been in the process of writing a fiction short story. Been working on it for close to 5 years, and I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling. I go to write, and I feel like I'm all over the place. I just have so many different ideas, and I want to rush into it and write everything down, which leaves what I'm working on a complete mess. Do you guys have any advice on how to go about this?
I will point out that this is probably the most common question that we received. Like most emails kind of boil down to the same topic, or like I get stuck, or I can see it all in my head, but I don't know how to actually put it down. Which is like very, very common creative thing across all disciplines, I think.
For sure.
But it's learning to get over that hump. And I think a big part of that is giving yourself limits and setting small goals and knowing what those goals are, and just kind of creating a roadmap of like, okay, this is point A, this is point B. There are many different stops along the way. And it's really kind of paralyzing when you're sitting down to write and you're like, oh shit, I got to do this entire thing and I have all these ideas or whatever. Like, you just have to start somewhere and make the goal, no matter how small it is, of like, okay, this is a scene I know I want to like, you don't have to do it linearly. I think I very rarely write anything that is totally linear. It's like, okay, well, I know what this puzzle piece is and I know what this puzzle piece is. And it is genuinely like putting together a puzzle. Like, you want to put all the pieces around the edge and then you work your way through, and some areas are a little bit more filled out, but eventually you know what's supposed to go there. It's just a long process. And if you let yourself, I think I said this on the last episode, but just like, you got to get out of your own way. Like, you just got to get out of your head about it, and you just got to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And I think that makes the difference between people who make things and finish things and people who don't make and don't finish things. Like, you just have to start doing it. No matter how you get yourself to start, you just have to do it.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing I will say is having a first draft that's a complete mess is fucking great. It doesn't matter if it's a complete mess. It should,
that's a draft.
It should be a complete mess. It's like, get something down and, then go back and hit it, edit it or whatever later after you've given yourself some space. But to me, having a first thing that's a complete mess is not a bad thing at all, because you have a thing that exists. So it's better to have too many ideas and dump them all on paper or on, on the recording or whatever the fuck it is, just to get it out of your head and get it down. And then you can go back and edit it later. So,
viciously kill your darlings.
Yep. It's really what Leighton said. Just set a time to create however you're going to create, have goals of, it doesn't need to be writing a chapter or whatever. Just have it be, do something, however small, every day. And sometimes you'll do the bare minimum and struggle to get there. And other times you'll write 50 pages or whatever. And, and it'll, you'll just kind of go on a tear. Just make time to do it. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Something is better than nothing. And that is something that I think a lot. The two phrases that I think most often are like, something is better than nothing, and action precedes motivation. Like,
yep.
Just do it. You're not going to want to do it. You just got to do it. Dr. Sung, any thoughts?
I mean, I totally agree with you guys, what you guys are saying. It's, in other words, don't be afraid to suck, because to get good, it's got to suck first. Almost everything's got to suck first before it can be good.
That's right. And also, a lot of times what you think sucks, a lot of other people will not think sucks. Indeed. So, don't be afraid to put something out there. I mean, obviously, if you think it's terrible, don't do it. But if you're like, well, I don't know, whatever, show it to a couple of people. Maybe show it to a friend or, someone whose judgment you value, and see what they think of it. Sometimes it might actually suck, and sometimes it won't.
And like I think the thing that you end up fearing the most is getting totally roasted, and then that turns into, oh, I'm a shit artist and I'm not going to make it. But like you will, it is a guaranteed you are going to get leagues better if that happens. Like it is not some death knell of you not being an artist. It means that you are about to get so much better, and now you have a higher standard of what you're doing, and you just have to reach that point. Like I think the most valuable advice I've ever gotten has been like very kind of vicious stuff. It isn't to say that you don't get as much from positive feedback, but it's really difficult, like being in a creative writing class and you put something out and everyone's like, yeah, this is really good. I don't have anything to say about it. It's like, fuck, that's the worst possible reaction.
Yeah.
I would so much rather you be like, I hate this and here's why. Yeah, and there's a really excellent piece of advice on writing by Stephen King that I'm still reading. I read a little bit every morning, and it's very inspirational to go into the day and then spend 8 hours and write 500 words in 8 hours, which is abysmal for me. But I'm doing the thing where I'm
Well,
being too hard
especially
on myself.
when Stephen King writes a novel a day.
Well, he writes, like he's stated in there, it's like 2,000 words a day, and it's like on a good day I can do that. During a manic episode, I can do 5,000.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
And like,
Wow.
Listen, y'all, bipolar 2 folks, never compare your output to a manic episode, because that's a standard you are not going to reach. Anyway, but the really good piece of advice is when you're working on a thing, it's a room with a closed door, and anything can happen in there because only you are going to see it. And then when you show it to other people, you open the door. So you're going to want to clean it up before somebody else gets in there.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, good luck everybody out there, and thank you for your emails. I guess I weirdly get a lot of joy out of reading them because there's just like this universality of human experience, and it's really nice to hear from y'all and hear what you're thinking about. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and if any of you got anything out of that, let us know.
Yeah.
Brian, would you like to introduce what's poppin'?
All right. So our next segment is the segment where we recommend pop culture things we love to the world. It's called What's Poppin', and I'm going to play the theme song right now.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? All right, Dr. Sung, give me your completely honest feedback. What did you think of that theme song?
Well, I couldn't hear it, so it was incredible. It's art. It's true art.
That's the clip I'm going to take.
God,
Great.
The bit has been
Polar
blown.
bear in the blizzard.
Yeah, the bit doesn't
The bit has
work
been blown
remotely.
wide open.
Yeah, because remotely.
No, it
one-
totally doesn't.
Like, yeah, I still love doing it.
Yeah. For those of you listening at home, Brian gives a very pregnant pause after that question, and then the guest usually panics. So that's what you're hearing when Brian does that bit.
Although when we're all in the same room, we can all hear that I'm not playing it. But when we're recording remotely, as we are now, it just sounds like an audio issue. Which,
Yeah, because
This guy's
Skype
a
fucking
trickster.
sucks.
He's a trickster.
anyway, all right, Leighton, what's poppin'?
So I'm 20 years late on this, but I started watching The Sopranos for the first time, and it is like the one thing keeping me sane right now. I'm not even done with season 1, but it's just I look forward to it every day. I finish my work, I play with my dog, and then I play some Animal Crossing and I watch The Sopranos, and I don't have much to say about it. It just fucking rules. You got a mobster in therapy? Hell yeah. The therapist is like a beautiful older woman? Hell yeah. It's very good.
Cool. I have never seen The Sopranos, but I have a deep connection to it because I grew up in northern New Jersey, where
Of course.
all of that takes place. So I know my parents loved it because they'd be like, "Oh, that's the Applebee's on Route 46. Oh, that's the ShopRite in Clifton." Like they just thought it was the best.
I don't know if I've spoken to you about this, but my mom is very Jersey, and I forget exactly where from, but yeah, my mom's side of the family is very Jersey Italian, and so just watching the show and hearing the thick, authentic Jersey, I'm like, oh, this feels like my childhood.
Oh yeah, it feels like everybody I grew up with. I mean, it's the few scenes I've seen are like, yep, that's my father, that's my friend's dad, like they're just
Yeah.
Jersey types.
Also, just like great like the food is mentioned every 5 seconds, which is so accurate.
Oh.
They just show the most beautiful cannolis. I want a cannoli so bad right now.
It's the best.
So, Dr. Sung, what's poppin'?
Okay, well, a little while ago, I went on a pretty deep rabbit hole into weird Japanese film, and my favorite thing that came out of it was this movie called Big Man Japan.
Okay.
Now, I recommend that you watch this movie knowing nothing about it. Please don't look it up. Don't look up any pictures about it. Give it 30 minutes, I swear. 30 minutes, and there will be a payoff that will break your brain. It's so ridiculous.
Where is it? If we're not looking it up, where do you stream it?
Where do you stream it? I can't remember where I got it before. We've got it we got the internet. I'm pretty sure it's on there somewhere. I can't.
Just partially
remember
put on a
exactly where I watched it.
blindfold and then Google Big Man Japan streaming, I guess.
Yeah, you can see like the poster for it, but don't go looking at any clips. That's where I would draw the
No
line.
spoilies.
Yep.
Done.
No spoilies. It's gonna break your brain.
Awesome.
Oh, Brian, what's poppin'?
Well, thank you for asking. What's poppin' is many of you might know the board game Ticket to Ride, which is a classic board game, been out for a long time. But there's a kid's version called Ticket to Ride First Journey that Rachel and I have been playing with Audrey. And it's
adorable.
Very cute. It's the same basic idea as Ticket to Ride. Like you have these cards that have a couple cities on them, and you have to connect them with trains. The gameplay, it's like ages 6 and up. So you might not be surprised to hear that the gameplay is much simpler than the normal adult version, but it's really cute and fun. And Audrey is not quite 6; she's almost 6, but she can like get it and do it by herself. And it's a great kids version of like a classic board game. So we've been playing it almost every lunch while we've been in social distancing mode, and it's just a really fun version of a game that I really love.
That's
so
so
great.
sweet.
Yeah.
How does Audrey like it?
She loves it because she gets to put little trains on, and she's learning. I mean, she's sort of learning geography, but it's like it's got a little map. She actually took the game out into our backyard the other day and just started putting trains on the board all by herself. It's it's really great. And more than anything, when you're that age, the thing that you really want is just doing stuff with your parents. And it's a great family board game we can all play together. The other popular one that we do is charades, which Dr. Sung, you have seen in action.
Oh man, she is a pro.
She's a pro. She's a good little actor. So yeah, that's my thing. Ticket to Ride First Journey.
There was like a charades adjacent thing that I would do with my family as a kid, and it had a good name, and I don't remember what it was now, but it would be basically like everyone would write 3 movies each on a strip of paper and put it in a hat, and then the person would have to pull out a movie and basically act it out, but it was intentionally like doing movies nobody else had seen, so they had to try to figure out what the movie act out the charade of a movie that they haven't seen.
That's cool.
Based on what they think it is.
I like that.
I was a kid and I got one that was like the scent of a woman, and then it was about like there's a lady here who's like really smelly. It was always a good time.
That's awesome. All right, so now we're going to move on to our final segment, Peaches and Lemons. I always forget to include space for the theme song while we're recording, but I'm not going to forget now. Here's the theme song. Peaches and Lemons. All right, Dr. Sung, what did you think of that theme song?
I think you've done a lot better. I really like the other theme song a lot better, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry to be totally brutally honest, but
you know what?
Like that one kind of.
I actually agree with that criticism wholeheartedly.
See, that's the kind of like feedback that you hope to get.
That's right.
That you can really iterate on it.
Constructive.
Yeah, you've shamed yourself
sucks.
today.
Only a little bit mean. I mean, really, Brian, it fucking sucked. But I'm being constructive with that.
All I can say is,
So-
fuck you, I quit.
The natural response to criticism.
Yes, I'm out. I quit the podcast effective immediately.
All right, it's late in night with Dr. Sung here.
Hey.
Our guest today is Brian Wecht.
So Peaches and Lemons, Dr. Sung, is a thing that my lovely aunt and uncle do with my nieces every night at dinner, where they go around the table and they share 3 peaches, which are good things that happened or things they're excited about or grateful for, and then 1 lemon, which is a thing that's kind of a bummer. And we've kind of done like a moratorium on lemons at the moment because world is a lemon. So we're doing only peaches right now. Also, I don't think my family knows that I've stolen their concept of peaches and lemons, and I really don't want them to find out about this podcast and listen to it.
Cease and desist.
Yeah. Oh, they're
That's right.
gonna.
There'll be some legal
My
ramifications.
7-year-old cousin is gonna hit me with some legal action. Anyway,
You've just been served.
I need them to not listen to my potty mouth podcast. But yeah, who would like to start on some peaches?
I'm always happy to start. I'll give you my 3 peaches, and I can do them quick. Number 1, I kind of mentioned it before, Stardew Valley with Audrey. It's pretty great. It's a fun little farm game, and she loves playing it. So it's just very cute. All she wants to do is walk into town and talk to people, though. So the amount of farming that actually happens is pretty minimal these days. But she does like meeting new people.
What characters does she especially like talking to?
We haven't played enough for her to know the difference. I mean, we're on day 8 overall, so we really don't have a sense of who's who at the moment. Other peaches. I pickled some radishes the other day, and it was like an apple
In Stardew Valley?
That's not a bad guess, Sung, but they were real.
It is a thing that you can do.
Really?
Yeah, you can make pickles.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can pickle anything.
radishes,
Well,
dude.
we signed up for this CSA box, and there's a ton of root vegetables, including turnips, and which I recognize have an Animal Crossing thing, but I'm not going to get into that. And we get a lot of beets, and we get a lot of radishes. So I've been happily pickling radishes for the better part of a week, which is really fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I love pickling things. I know, Leighton, you love pickling things as well, right?
Yeah. Oh shit! I still have pickles in the fridge. I bet they're really like juiced now. I kind of forgot about them, which is the beauty of
Gotta
a pickle.
juice those pickles.
Yeah, baby.
And my final peach is we have a new Ninja Sex Party music video coming out tomorrow, which actually, by the time you hear this, it'll already be out a couple days. And it's a really fun one. Sung, I don't know what we're talking about. And
Oh, yeah. I know
yeah,
that song.
you're in the video. So it's one of
Hot dang.
like this new NSP album is it's my favorite thing we've ever done. There's so many great things on it. It's not out yet. It'll be out this fall. But this video, I think people are gonna I hope people hear this song and be like, wow, you guys like really stepped up the game with this album. But there's a lot of, we're doing some new stuff musically, and it's something I'm really proud of. So hopefully people like it.
God, I'm
It's
so
a
excited.
jam.
It's a jam. Leighton, would you care to go next?
Yeah, sure. My first peach is that I hate technology and I hate phones, and so I pulled out my 6 years old, busted to shit iPhone that is like totally cracked. Literally the only things that work: Notes app, alarm clock, and Spotify, barely. And that's all I needed it for. So I've been turning my phone off or just like putting it across the room and
the
just
best.
like it is amazing. It is making me so aware of just like how often I'm looking at my phone. And I stopped. I've been very awful for the past few years about, being on my phone right before I go to sleep and the first thing when I wake up and like charging it in my bed and stuff, which is just awful. And so I started charging it in the other room, and then I just used the other iPhone as an alarm clock. And like I did that last night and this morning and woke up feeling just so much better.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so that has been really delightful, and I'm glad that I'm doing it. Fuck phones, throw them in the ocean. Brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal, baby. Second peach. My second peach is that I feel like this is a vague one, but I think this entire global situation has made me a lot more grateful It's been a really big mental paradigm shift of just like I really cherish little moments and things that I've taken for granted for a long time, or it just like really puts stuff in perspective. I guess that's a very serious Peach, but
No, but
just
that's
like
an
little
important
things
one.
like yeah, I mean, I guess it is sort of the entire driving force behind Peaches in general is just like being grateful for little stuff, but just like, oh, I hold my dog and I just want to cry because I have her. And just like, I don't know, looking at trees outside, and I guess it's sort of doing the thing where I'm not looking at my phone as much and just being more present in moments. Like it is really good for the old brain. And I highly recommend everybody sort of just, I don't know, be mindful. And then my third Peach is Animal Crossing. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I can't not talk about it. And I'm sorry, people who either are playing it or aren't playing it and are sick of seeing everybody talk about it. But just like, it's so nice. And I think the specific Peach for me is pretty much like every night or every other night we go and hang out in somebody else's town, or people come to my town, and there's like a chat function sort of that like just sort of barely works, but you can type from your phone. And there's something just like so strange in this time of having, two people sitting in a cute little corner that they've set up and just sort of like chatting in this very like clipped basic way. And it is sort of like an eerie but nice experience of like, well, I can't see you in person, but we're hanging out and there are animals walking around and we're hitting each other with nets and chasing each other with axes. So it's kind of cooler than real life.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian, please play Animal Crossing with Audrey. She would fucking love it.
I will. We're actually setting up a little reward system where she can earn Animal Crossing because
that's wise.
It might not come as a surprise that when you're trapped at home with your parents for a while, listening is not so great. And her behavior has been, it's typical little kid stuff, but I think she could, rein herself in a little bit more than she currently is.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the culmination of like you've done your chores and things like that, just as extra motivation.
Video games are a great reward for that kind of thing. As a kid, that was really not that I was fucking around and being a shit anyway, because I was a very respect and obey authority kind of child. But it was like, oh, well, you can get a Wii at the end of the summer if you get all straight A's and you're not a piece of shit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I can do that. Fuck me up, Wii Sports.
Dr. Sung, what are your peaches?
Well, I was looking out on the horizon the other day, and I realized that I can see mountains in the distance that I haven't been able to see in the area that I live ever.
Wow.
And I realized how clean and how clear the air is because everybody is staying the frig at home and all these travel restrictions and everything. The Mother Nature is like slam dunking on us right now because she's having a great time. Yep. She's breathing and she's just loving it. So like that's a silver lining as far as I'm concerned, because like I was reading an article too how every city in the world is like has the cleanest air that they've had in decades and stuff. And while that may be transient, that's true, because inevitably the machine will pick back up and stuff. I think that it is like a good indication towards where things are headed, because with this stuff that's been happening, it's sort of shown that remote working is a viable thing.
Totally.
And I think that people, not as many people in the near future, once this is all said and done, will be commuting to work and driving, sitting in traffic for hours on end every day. That's my hope anyway. So I think that's a good thing to stay optimistic about. A little peach.
Totally.
Yeah, and you can you can totally like the air palpably feels cleaner. I that's a big Los Angeles thing where like when it's a bad air day, you can feel it, but like it's just been so crisp and clean, and you can see stars at night. Like it's wild.
Venus recently has been amazing. If you look right up near the moon, I think it's still this. I haven't checked in the last couple of days, but very close to the moon in early evening. It's just blam. Venus is like right there. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
No way. That's really cool. I guess another peach for me would be, I guess this is also kind of a bit of a silver lining for the current situation, is that I realized that like all of my friends are like me, sitting on their asses every day, and they're like, I wish I had someone to talk to. And so I've been kind of like reaching out to friends that I haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah.
And also talking to like my mom every day, and like when you realize that everybody's in the same situation, and that like everybody would love to hear from you, like would love to just like talk to somebody. It's like, it's really nice because like I've reached out and like made contact with friends that I haven't spoken to in a while. And, I encourage everybody out there to, talk to your mom every day. Go reach out to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a long time.
Totally. Yeah, I've been doing the same thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's amazing what, like, even just hopping on a Discord call with people, even if you're not in the mood for it, because I tend to like isolate in normal times, but especially now, like you just gotta stop swimming in your head for a bit and hear other people's voices.
Totally. Yeah, it's really cool that like I know a lot of my friends, and I've done it a little bit myself. Watching things together remotely is such a fun thing to do, that we all have the power to do. Like set up a Skype call and watch an episode of that show that you guys like together. It's very cool. But I guess a third peach for me would be a bit of a more specific personal peach. A new to me game. It's not exactly a new game, but a new to me game that I came across like 2 days ago that I'm super jazzed on is Total War Warhammer. And I like the Total War games have been around forever, but I've stumbled across it by like I was reading this interview with Henry Cavill, who plays like The Witcher and like Superman and stuff. Turns out he's a huge nerd.
I heard this.
Yeah, and I'm like, I got kind of like a bit of a crush on for Henry Cavill right now, because he was like, yeah, I like to stay at home and play computer games, and I always have. And my favorite game of all time is Warhammer Total War. It's a turn-based tactical strategy game. And he was like, it was like he was speaking to me, because those are like the exact games that I like turn-based tactical strategy. So I'm super
are you
jazzed
playing it? What are you playing it on? Switch or PC or what?
It's on PC, yeah. The bonus is that I realized I had bought it like 2 years ago on a sale, and so I just had it all this time. I never played it. Yeah. Oh,
that's the best in unplayed Steam library.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, Dr. Sung, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was such a fun thing to have you and Meowch on consecutive weeks. So we appreciate you. It was kind of a last minute thing, but we appreciate you taking the time and making the time for us.
No, thank you guys so much. Yeah. It's a huge honor to finally make it onto the big screen. So thank you guys for this opportunity.
That's right.
It's beautiful. And you finally figured out what to do with your hands.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Do you like them like this? I was so self-conscious about it, but thank you for saying that.
Each finger has a little mustache.
Very, very 2010 of you. Yes, thank you for coming on. This has been really fascinating and fun, and just like honestly a nice way to spend my Tuesday evening. So thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And providing some social contact.
Indeed. Dr. Sung, where can people find you if they want to check out your stuff?
Well, I am obviously a member of TWRP, twerpband.com, and not that we're going to be playing any shows in the near future, but I'm also streaming on Twitch. I stream games and workouts and stuff with my dog. That's twitch.tv/Dr. Sung. Yeah, those are probably the two best places to find me. Thank you all so much. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in once again. I really want to encourage this, which I've sort of started doing on Twitter on Fridays when the episodes drop. But tweet us your peaches. I'll do a tweet asking what your peaches are this week, and please respond to it, because I really like hearing from people about what they're excited about.
I call them tweetches.
I'm gonna kill you. Great. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Stay safe out there. Be well. This is the end of the podcast. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Leighton Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. For more information, visit leightonnight.com. That's LEIGHTONNIGHT.com. Also, please follow us on social media. On Twitter, we're @Leighton Night, and on Instagram @Leighton_Night.